So we have a green light. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Now this one is pre-owned with a few miles. It is for sale, by the way. If you guys are interested, reach out to the Alfa Romeo of downtown Salt Lake. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below, where you can also see the most up-to-date pricing on the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. But let's just get right into the review. So under the hood, we have a twin-turbo 2.9 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 505 horsepower and then 443 pound-feet of torque. I love you can see the bracing over the engine, and also just like the display of this is beautiful. And it actually is a Ferrari V8 with 2 cylinders cut off, which is even cooler. And yeah, there's under the hood. Now let's go over the front end, and by the way, this paint color is called Alpi. It's actually a factory paint color and it looks crazy. So it is basically this satin metallic gray, and it is just so beautiful. So you've got the hood venting as part of the Quadrifoglio package, massive flat hood. It's on all the Stelvios, and then you guys can see the LED accent lights with the projector bulb right there. Parking sensors here on the front end. Notice you got the Alfa logo, and this is pretty cool. You've got carbon fiber here in the signature Alfa Romeo front grille, and just look how aggressive it is down below with all of the bodywork. And again, this paint color just looks fantastic from every single angle. I'll give you guys some better viewpoints right here. So here's kind of in the sunlight a little bit, as you guys can see, and then here in the shade, so you can see kind of the color. Yeah, really cool to see a factory, you know, satin paint color. It's, yeah, just super unique. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 55mm tires wrapped on 20-inch wheels in the front, and then two 85mm tires wrapped on 20-inch wheels in the rear. And you guys can see the wheel design itself. Obviously the wheels are all blacked out, which looks really cool. And when I say blacked out, they're actually a dark metallic gray, but they kind of have that blacked out appearance, if that makes sense, because they're so dark. But anyways, notice how they kind of mimic a Clover, which I think is pretty cool. Got the red brake calipers, and you guys can see the aggressive fender flare right there. We have the Clover here on the side to let everyone know that you have the Quadrifoglio. And then you guys can see the fender flare there on the back, super aggressive as well. And this is actually to fit the rear tire because it's so bulky. And here's your full side view, and you guys can see in the sunlight now with this paint color, look how beautiful that is. Now here's the key fob. We have our unlock, lock, remote start, and then the opening here for the hatch. Just press that twice, and the rear hatch will open right up. Now you guys can see storage space back here is actually really good. Notice that we've got the cargo cover here in the back, and then this is to lower down the seats on either side. Got a 12 volt right there, and then we have the rails here, and notice we've got some more storage space just underneath. But yeah, really spacious, really practical, like an SUV should be. And then you can see pressing that and it'll lower right back down. Wait for it. Boom. Now finishing things up here in the rear, you guys can see the taillights here, really cool with the look of that. And then you got the badging here, which is darker. Got the Alfa Romeo logo, and notice we've got the quad exhaust tips here in the rear with the super aggressive diffuser, parking sensors as well. And yeah, just looks great. Also, I forgot to mention, look at the venting off to the side. I think that's another cool little touch. And I'll give you guys kind of like another walk here, so you can see the paint color in different lighting. Yeah, really cool. Now here's the door panel in the Quadrifoglio. Notice we've got the leather here with the stitching, and then we got the carbon fiber just down below that, and then more leather here in this area. The thing is interesting is this leather is kind of like smoother, whereas this is kind of like the rougher leather down below. I think it's kind of interesting, but it's cool because there's multiple textures within the door panel. And here are the seats in the rear. So you can see you've got really nice smooth leather on it with the Alcantara here in the center portion. Then you can see the red stitching, and popping in here, legroom's great. Headroom's great. And then also we have these full carbon fiber bucket seats, which is crazy to see as a passenger. And you got this obviously for a racing harness, but realistically, since this is an SUV, it's for your kids to like poke you in the head and be like, go faster, daddy. Anyways, notice that we've got the vents right there, and then this pulls down to be an armrest and some cup holders. And yeah, let's head to the front. Now here's the door panel at the front. You guys can see again here with the leather and the stitching, carbon fiber down below, and then beautiful red leather down below that. All of our window controls, the mirror adjustments, speakers here for the Harman Kardon sound system, and then the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. And then here are the front bucket seats. So you guys can see really nice leather on them. Got the Alcantara here in the center, really nice bolstering, and yeah, they literally are carbon bucket seats. Pretty crazy stuff. The thing that's funny about these seats is they're manually adjustable, and that's kind of part of what comes with the territory at that. Pedal layout just down below. We've got our light controls right here, paddles here on the steering column, and let's pop in. Now here is the steering wheel on this Stelvio. So notice we've got the Alcantara here at the top with the red stitching. We've got leather here on the side, carbon fiber down below. Just a really intricate steering wheel overall. I love how the engine stop start button is red. This has adaptive cruise control. It also has hill descent control, funny enough. We've got our voice command volume controls right there. We have our turn signal stock, windshield wiper stock, and you guys can see the massive paddles here. And there's the steering wheel. Now here is the center gauge cluster. You got RPMs on the left side, you got speed over there on the right side, and then you have that digital gauge cluster there in the center. And we have our different drive modes. We have our A, which is kind of like your all-weather mode, N for natural, and then we have our D for dynamic mode, and then we have a race mode that you have to hold for a second, and then it'll pop it over into race mode, and that'll make the suspension firmer. But you do have a suspension button that you can turn off, and so then it'll, as you can see, mid-damper active, it'll make it so that the car isn't so stiff. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, you guys will notice that this is the original infotainment system that came with the Alfa Romeos, so it's not a touchscreen like the brand new ones, but it's got a dial to control everything. Pretty easy and straightforward to use. No complaints for me personally. And then from a camera perspective, you guys can see you've got the backup camera with trajectory lines that do turn with the steering wheel, which is a nice feature. And yeah, that's all for that. Really nice leather here on the dash with the contrasted stitching, and then look at all the carbon fiber here, and then that red leather just down below. We've got our dual zone climate controls here. The seats aren't heated or anything like that. Again, they're carbon buckets. What do you expect? Anyways, you guys can see we've got the carbon fiber that covers the cup holders. It goes very slow with the closing. More carbon fiber here in this area. Shifter for that 8-speed automatic transmission. Does have a manual shift function with the shifter. You can also use the paddles. Controls the infotainment system, and we've got the center console set up right here. You can see storage space, all that fun stuff. And then the glove box with that, and notice the handle's really nice. And then I guess finishing things up top here, sorry about that with the camera, we do have a panoramic sunroof here at the top, and there you go. Now, like I said, if you want the most up-to-date pricing on this Stelvio Quadrifoglio, check out Alfa Romeo in Salt Lake's inventory in the description down below. Let's take it out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. There's visibility over the hood, both mirrors, which do have blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. I didn't press the button. I'm such an idiot. Oh, Ben Hardy. So we are setting off here in the Stelvio Quadrifoglio, and I believe this is the first time I've ever driven a Stelvio Quadrifoglio. I think I've driven the Giulia, if I remember right. I don't think I've ever driven the Stelvio, and this is the one that everyone raves about because the Giulia is cool, right? It's, you know, like a BMW M3 competitor, and you know, it's crazy on power and it's rear-wheel drive and it's tons of fun. But this is the practical Quadrifoglio, right? This is the more reasonable one because it has all-wheel drive. It's an SUV, which is what most people are purchasing nowadays, and so yeah, it's got that going about it. First off, let's talk about these seats, right? I know some people might be concerned about the carbon buckets. Here's what I have to say is the bolstering on them is not bad at all. I thought that it would be extremely like tight and uncomfortable, but it's not. The seats are firmer though. Understand that they definitely, like, they've got some padding on them where they're actually these seats are very comfortable. But if you prefer like a very like padded seat that's like, you know, like you sink into it, that's not what this gives you. This is more of like a firm setup, basically, is what these seats are, which, I don't know, I like that. Actually getting up and moving here with the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. I'm in the natural mode right now, and this thing is so torquey. It's so torquey, it just moves. And this thing, even in the natural mode, like, it's very comfortable. Like, going over these train tracks, yeah, the suspension's not like, you know, uncomfortably stiff or anything like that. It's actually very comfortable. So that's definitely a big positive. But what I will say is this definitely feels like sports car-ish. You can definitely, you just instantly get that feeling, just even when you're regularly driving around. But the throttle's not annoying or anything like that. Throttle response is great. I'm actually gonna move a little bit closer. Too close. There we go. I love the sound too. The sound of that V6 is super nice. I know you guys are probably bored because this is traffic, but if you guys want more like fun driving here with the Quadrifoglio, I am gonna post a point of view drive on the second channel with this. So that's gonna be like just longer driving instead of these, you know, just little impressions. So yeah, go subscribe to the second channel if you want to see that. And it looks like we can finally go through the green light. This is what happens with Utah sometimes with the traffic. It's probably not as bad as you guys live out in California, but you know, sometimes it gets pretty rough. So we have a green light. Don't worry, that was just papers coming off the dash. Wow, this thing sounds amazing. The transmission's super smooth. You can go into first gear while moving, just like the my new Ford Raptor. Same thing. It just smoothly transitions into first gear. And if you guys are wondering, I'm in the race mode, but I have the suspension set to the softer setting instead of the firm setting. I'll put it in the firm setting for a second, see what that is like. It's not terribly uncomfortable, but it, like, you feel every, yeah, you pretty much feel every bump in the firm setting. So yeah, soft setting, just like all the middle-aged car journalists do, right? They always put it in the race modes and they put the suspension in soft to protect their middle-aged backs. But yeah, this thing just feels so race car-like, and it's an SUV. I keep forgetting that I'm, you know, it's crazy. I'm in an SUV. Just, oh my goodness, this is the best sounding V6 on the planet. That is such a beautiful sound. That is such a beautiful sound. And the handling, this thing is just planted. Wow. Alfa Romeo, good job. And you can go right into the red line with this. Listen to that again. This thing is a riot. So I want to save most of the driving for the video on the second channel. I'm trying to get more people to watch the second channel. So if you guys want to see more in-depth driving impressions, second channel, go check it out. Summing things up here for the main channel, this thing is a riot. It sounds amazing, it drives amazing. It is a little bit on the harsher side. So this is a luxury SUV from an interior perspective with the materials, but from a driving perspective, it's like full-on race car SUV. It's comfortable. It's not extremely uncomfortable, but it is on the race car-ish side. Now let's get some things up for a video on this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Alfa Romeo of downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with the Stelvio. Check out the inventory in the description down below. I'll see all of you in that next video.